So RichRelevance, what do we do? Well, RichRelevance is a personalization. Originally, people would think of it as recommendations. People who bought this also bought. People who viewed this also viewed, that type of thing. We dive much deeper into personalization at every layer and much more than just simple recommendations like you would see on Amazon or some of the other ones. When you look at a couple of our clients here with Barney's and with Neiman Marcus, you'll see that we go a lot deeper. Companies like Nordstrom's, you go out and you buy Nordstrom's, you look at a shirt that you like, you look at a price band, you look at a color, you look at a size. We help them do the complete the look. If you're like me, if you don't have your wife to dress you up in the morning and make sure that you're not wearing colors that move on the screen, as I was instructed by Sanjay not to wear. My wife's in media, so she made sure I had the right shirt on today. But they do the complete the look. So when you go to Nordstrom's, you see a shirt, you see a belt, you see a pants, you see shoes, and I just click right through all of those and buy all of them. We help them build that. With L'Oreal and Neiman on the right there, you'll see that we help them build their recommendation wall. We build every single thing that you see on that wall there, everything from the beautiful pair of shoes that Sanjay just bought his wife down here to the bags that Kira has and everything else that you see in between here. So we're able to build the stuff much more than just you looked at this, you're going to get this pair of batteries like you see on Amazon or something like that. So we build that very deeply through our personalization market. So when you look at it, you see the standard just product recommendations. We build this out through full merchandising, allowing you to do things like matching the right battery to the right laptop, the right memory to the right laptop, those types of things in terms of full merchandising. Sort and search. When you do a search and you're looking for a certain product, go out to Barney's, start typing Alexander McQueen or whatever your favorite brand is. You'll start seeing recommendations and you'll start seeing the search being personalized to you. And that's not just Alexander McQueen. It'll start looking at other things that you've looked at before, Alex Anani or anything like that, and start building that search right into it with you. And we do content personalization. Go out to L'Oreal USA. Go out there, fill out the My Beauty page. Totally anonymous. It tells you what's your hair color, what's your eye color, what's your skin type, are you oily, do you have blue eyes, that type of stuff. From then on, 100% of the content of that page is personalized to you. You will see demos of the product or the colors or anything like that that is exactly matching what you want and what you have. And we do it multi-channel, omni-channel. We do it email. I forgot something in my cart, left in my cart. RichRelevance is that guy that bugs you and goes, you like those shoes, man. Come on, go buy them. Or buy these other shoes. And we do your mobile. So when you're walking around in the store, we're able to converse with your mobile. If you've opted in, we're able to track you through the store and be personalization to you at your mobile. By the way, we do this all anonymous. We don't know that it's Bob. We just know it's a person looking at an object, and there might be demographics or that type of stuff that you pick up through the big data, and you might be able to determine that it's a male or it's someone that likes cars or any of those types of things that you can do. We do call centers. So when you call into the call center, LL Bean's a great example of this. They have one of the deepest customer databases there are. It goes back a couple hundred years. They can literally tell you who you are and all that, and then through our application, they're able to see other products that you've seen. So when you say, hey, I'm out of this shirt, they can actually give you an example of shirts that you've bought before and ones that you might like before. And then we do in-store. So it's not quite like Tom Cruise walking through the mall and it's going, hey, Mr. Jones, you like this shirt? You know, those types of things. But we're able to walk you through the store and give you an experience in the store that you would have online. So we turn the store aisles into digital aisles. The kiosks, as you come up to them, are able to be changed to what you're looking at. So when you go and you step to the kiosk at the end of lingerie, you're not looking at women's pajamas and all that type of stuff. You're looking at the objects that you look in the store. You're looking at a pair of Levi's pants, those types of things. So they're able to bring that in straight into you and personalize it there. Then our architecture. I'm proud to say, as the VP of IT operations, our front-end data centers have been up 100% for 65 months. Our back ends go up and down based off of maintenance, but our front end is 100%. We've never missed a recommendation, even during Hurricane Sandy when New York went down. So we do this through applications. We do it through source-oriented architecture, where we drill all the way down into this, and this is a lot of where you start seeing ThousandEyes giving us a beautiful solution for this type of thing. And we do it by full platform. So you see this ability to be able to bolt yourself on almost like you do with Salesforce when you look at App Exchange or you look at Force.com and those types of things, and you're able to completely connect to us. These are our global. Marketing says that we do all this stuff, and I just kind of take care of these bottom twos down here. Our data centers. We're located pretty wide and far. We serve recommendations within 250 to 300 miles in 60 to 120 milliseconds. We usually come up and our recommendations will show up on our page, or our content will show up on a page faster than the vendor's product. So they like that. They like that the people are able to see something right away and that we deliver actually faster than their own people. And we continue to grow. We're going to be launching into London this year. We're going to be launching down here into Sydney. And then we're looking to go into India, your typical BRIC, right? Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And we'll be dropping into Russia area, probably closer to Kiev or stuff like that. We're up in Stockholm in that upper left-hand corner that you see up there now. But we'll be looking at growing even farther. And we make these decisions every single time. How do we decide what we're going to do? And many of you that are in networks, you probably have one of these telegraphy maps up on your screen or on your wall that shows you where all the lines are underwater and where are they all above ground. And one of the ones to really pay attention to is you see the network in the United States is very highly meshed. The same thing in Western Europe. But as you drive down through, and you have to kind of turn your head on this, you kind of look at Russia, Canada, Australia, and down through some of these other countries, and I wish it showed South America. They're very broken up and they're very geopolitical. So how do we make the decisions? Well, we use products like this. This has created a phenomenal partnership between myself and my vendors, my co-locations and my data centers that I pick. You go to them and they go, oh, here's my Looking Glass IP. Go out to my Looking Glass and all of a sudden everything's perfect. They're like, wow, look how fast we are and look how well we work. And then I bring up something like ThousandEyes and I point on my either end or I ask them to put an agent in and you start seeing other problems. Now, this is an example here that this was on Thanksgiving Day, which is kind of a busy day for those of us that are in retail online. Thanksgiving through the whole next week is Cyber Week, and that's when you guys all do your shopping. You fill it up on your turkey and you sit down and start shopping. I had clients calling me out of Europe saying, we're not seeing you guys. You're down. We're like, we're not down. I look at my products and I'm looking at my data center. My data center's up. Everything's showing fine. You know, we're in Amsterdam, Stockholm, and Frankfurt in the German area. And we started drilling into it ourselves, and I went, hey, I'm on a trial of ThousandEyes. Let's see what these guys can do. It'll help me make my decision on what I do. We pulled it up and looked at it from our agents that are in our data centers to the left and a couple cloud agents to our data center that's in Amsterdam to the right, and there's this big red dot in the middle. When you click on it, you find out here it's 73% packet loss in NTT. They lost their whole 10 gigabit backbone network outside of Frankfurt, Germany. And what happened was, it's sort of like your freeway when people couldn't get onto BART, they all jump into their car or they jump onto Muni or something like that. All the secondary streets get backed up as well. So we were able to work through this by looking at this, calling up our agents, our co-location vendors, calling up our major customers that were having problems and had them all reroute within 30 minutes. Where before what would happen is you start doing your MTRs, you start doing your trace routes, you start calling every single vendor you can to try to figure out what's going on, and you have your guys going crazy. And Ryan, my internet agent, was supposed to be here, and if he's not here, that kind of worries me. Hopefully everything's okay, my phone's not buzzing. So that was Thanksgiving Day, and we were able to bring that back in 30 minutes. The most important thing is that I got a call from the CIO of Marks & Spencer going, what the hell, you guys suck. You know, we're not getting any, he literally said that. We're not getting any stuff. All my customers are able to get to my page. It's obviously not the internet. Well, that's just in the UK. And they were fine in the UK. It's kind of why we're putting a data center in London, by the way. And what this did was turn around and build trust with not only my merchant, but also with my co-location and my carriers. I was able to turn this around to saying, oh, we don't suck, the tubes are clogged. You know, we're not able to get to where you want to go, and we were able to get them to reroute. So I'm going to see if I can actually figure out how I get to my browser here in a second. So this was Tesco Groceries. It's about the same size as Kroger's, or even bigger than that, I guess. Safeway and all those guys all merged together. It takes up about 60% of the grocery shopping in the UK. So they came to me and they said, we want to do a load test. We're gonna launch onto you guys. We want to make sure everything's okay. We want to run to Christmas holiday speeds. They wanted to go up to a whole 120 requests per second, where we run 17,000 on Black Friday and are only at 20% load. But we went ahead and said, yeah, sure, let's go ahead and do that. We gave them links. We set up all the links. We gave them links. We found out within 15 minutes of giving these guys live share links, they were starting to use it. Their load team in India and their team in UK started looking at our tests right away. And they're like, we're seeing some problems. And I said, yeah, there's one little problem that we're having. There's 100% loss to one of your proxy servers. And they're like, really? We're not seeing that. So we pointed it out to them, and they started drilling down through the stuff. And they came back and said, you know, I'm like, yeah, I think it's your proxy one. It's just totally failing to that one IP. They come back and go, oh, no problem. We just have a misconfiguration in the database. We'll just address that and come right back to it. So they did. And they came back, and by the end of the next day, they came back and says, we found out that you guys are fine. This morning, this was about 2 weeks ago, this morning I got a call from them. They have launched us. We're live. They have not launched the competitors that they were balancing against us because issues that they were having, and they weren't able to prove that it wasn't them. So very quickly, we're able to sit down with the customer and do something they weren't able to do before. You used to do things like bring up Firefox, and you bring up Chrome, and you bring up the developer tool, and you do the one-time waterfall. Or you'd ask them, what are you seeing? Or can you do an MTR from your side? And these types of things. We started drilling stuff into it much deeper. And I wanted to walk through a couple of my links here. Do you guys have it on a separate browser, Nick? So we were able to sit down, and we started building just HTTP tests, the waterfalls, and the different tests for the customers, so they would be able to see it as well. And I think that's probably one of the most powerful things that builds the biggest trust, is when I look at some of the other tools out there versus solutions. I look at ThousandEyes as a solution. I look at it as something that's more than me just looking at what is a ping, what is a trace route, and those types of things that you might see out of some of the near-time competitors. So we set up the very simple one that's sort of like what Andy was showing before, of just the Tesco Rex. And we tested just us. So we were looking at us over that period of time, and I'm not going to drill down into individuals on this, but we looked at just us going to the public, to rex.richrelevance.com. By the way, those 12 data centers you saw are all replicates of each other. It's a board. They all are exact copies of each other, so if any one fails and the other one takes over for them, we do that all through another vendor, Dynect, that does a phenomenal job of our DNS, also up nonstop for the last number of years. Next one that we did is we pulled up just us to the load test to make sure that, okay, we're okay on the public, but they're going to run over our load test. And we did that as well, and we were able to show that to them and say, okay, from our load test in the EU environment, which is a much smaller one, we kept focused just down to the UK versus what you saw on the other one, which was more wide. And we were able to show them this and say, okay, look how fast we are here. So we started going into the actual test, and this is the Tesco front page, and we started looking at their tests, and we started seeing stuff that started getting a little bit longer. So we went through their waterfall. This is their public page. This was their live page. And if you do nothing more than just look at the very simple graph that's sitting up here, and you say, wow, so 8% is blocked, DNS is at 4.9, and I believe if I go to, the DNS was going up to 15% at times. And we started drilling it into them that, you know, start looking at your infrastructure, the types of things that they were doing. You have a long wait state in there, and you're looking at wait of 48%. That whole page, by the way, is 5.5, almost 6 seconds. According to most studies in shopping, if you're over 100 milliseconds, you start losing tenths of percents of people dropping right off your page. Their wait state is almost 50%. So what's wait? Wait is usually a very simple thing of either waiting for your server to figure out the math of what it's doing. Maybe it's doing an algorithm or building something and then returning it. It could be something as simple as waiting for a JavaScript to run. But what we found as we started drilling down through this, a lot of this blocking and a lot of the stuff that's down here, I got to figure out, remember how to do this stuff. We started drilling down into this with them, and we started seeing that here we are, 10 milliseconds block, and we're not even halfway down the page. You start going down further and further, and you start seeing, well, all your Googles were failing. We don't like it when the Googles fail. And what happened was they didn't open up their test environment to the Google IPs. So that was their first thing. We came back to them and had them fix that. We started talking to them about all those images you're seeing loading. Well, they were all loading on the same connection. So most browsers sit anywhere from 8 to 16 connections per session. And as you start trying to load more and more stuff, you have to try to parallel your downloads. So we were finding that we were, and I'm not sure how far down we were 2.5 seconds down on the page before they even started loading us. We said, well, put us up at the top. We're non-blocking. We load in the background. We don't hurt anything. They moved us to the top. Again, our stuff showed up right away, and they were saying, well, the rest of the page is still sucking. So we started looking through that, and we started seeing that they had all these images and everything else loading in the background behind each other. So we said, well, you know, you've got a couple things you can do. You can sprite them, kind of download them in one thing and then explode them out to your screen. Or what the easiest thing is to do is take your CDN host that you're doing, just make a half a dozen CNAMEs and start loading those up. And they're like, what? You can do that? You can like name the same host 2 or 3 different things and load more connections? They did that, and it doubled the speed of their page by nothing more than doing that and getting rid of all that blocking. Let's go to that last one now, Nick, because you can get me over there a lot faster than I can. But as we walked through this, and we started walking through it with them and doing it live through a GoToMeeting, not when it was down on December 12th, by the way, we were able to walk it through with them, and you just see the light bulb go off above their head as you walk it through them live. And you can sit there and say, you know, I was sharing the live link at the time with them instead of the shared link. And we were able to get things to a point where everything was loading much faster and doing much better, and their speeds were faster. By the way, I love the way the colors down here change like a heat map, if anyone didn't notice that when Andy was showing it. It gives you a very quick image to be able to look at something and see what's wrong with it. So we were able to sit there and look at this and say, okay, just your page load is 4.5 seconds, your DOM is 3 seconds. No bueno. And we started walking through them again and doing it more and more. And here's their block time is 3 milliseconds. So they were still having problems, and to this day, they're still having problems because I don't know if anybody's ever done this. You work inside a big corporation, and people seem to learn right away, it's not my problem. What are you doing wrong, right? This product changed our world in the last 3 months. We've gone to a place where, as we work through this with our customers, and we've got 220 merchants worldwide, each one different, everything from very small ones down in Brazil to huge ones in Russia to all over the world now. We're in UAE, we're down in India, we're all over the Asia Pac, and each and every single one has their own issues. And what we're able to do is start drilling down into individual test case like this and start bringing up all these. So this is your DOM load time, this is your full page load over here. We're able to walk the customer through this stuff, and they're like, wow, I didn't see that in my Firefox. And the biggest difference is point of time versus lifetime, and being able to look at something across that timeline and see that things change as you go along. So we continued to show them problems that they were having with their different JavaScripts, how they were loading them, started talking to them about using tag managers, started talking about this. It changed the whole conversation. And I think the story that I'm trying to tell is that as I go to each different merchant, it's different. They have network guys that are really good, and they got network guys that just can barely configure a switch. And they outsource it or they have it in-house. And in any case, I'm able to take a link like this, share it out, and be able to have a conversation. Where before it was a lot of this, now we're actually seeing, and my team including, oh yeah, that's mine. sorry, you know, let's figure out what's going on, and kind of drilling into, like Andy was talking about, of fixing your own DNS or fixing your own stuff before you start pointing at the other client. It also is something that on that slide that came down earlier that showed Thanksgiving Day, that one was very powerful for us because we saw it building and alerting us before the customer actually called us. We started seeing the packet loss in ThousandEyes and started having alerts coming up about NTT in Central Europe almost right away. And you see those off and on no matter what. You're going to see a router port or something like that. Most of the time they're fixed right away. NTT had that 10 gigabyte line down for about 4 hours. It only affected us for less than 30 minutes. It never would have done that previous to that. So again, it's more than what it is. The other products that you see, and I go back to saying there are more tools, and some of them we use. A lot of us use the tools like Gomez, Dynatrace. We use Keynote. We use a lot of those tools, and I think they all have their place, and each one is something that does it what you need, exactly what it is. But what I found with ThousandEyes is that the interactive, it's very data rich. That's something that we're really going to drill into a lot more than we did before. And I kind of look at this, and I sat down with Sanjay and Nick a week ago, and we go out and we talk about, well, what if we did this? And I've talked with Ricardo and had Ricardo show me some of his stuff. So just start going like this if I start talking about stuff I'm not supposed to. Some of the stuff that we'd like to see, and you guys are already coming out with it. When you saw the one screen that I showed of Tesco, what we had done is we gave them one of our agents and said, here, use our agent. Load it up on one of your servers, and we were able to see end to end. How powerful is it that when we get agent to agent this year, that I can sit there and talk to a client that already has ThousandEyes and glue these things together? You know, how powerful is it going to be when I can look at collective intelligence that Mohit was talking about and look at those data centers that I have across the world and be able to set up heat maps and say, how am I talking between my data centers? All my data centers talk like this. It's a true Borg, for those of you that are geeky enough to understand Borgs. It's a true Borg this way, and then all down to our San Francisco and Dallas backend data centers. The ability to do aggregated reporting by zone or area becomes very powerful. Most of my traffic is not between me and Tesco Groceries. It's between me and Tesco's customer. So because of the JSON that we work and the work that we do, as soon as they load up our JavaScript, our work goes between the browser and us. And being able to see hot zones and be able to drill down into the areas, it's not only that Tesco's able to get to our APIs and we can get back to them, but also how are we doing to their customers. And that becomes, I think, most powerful when you start looking at the wisdom of the masses. RichRelevance uses the wisdoms of the masses to determine what you might like to buy based off of, it's crazy. We can do things like saying, well, you like this type of oil for your car. You also like Colgate toothpaste. Because when you look at that big data aggregate, more people that buy this Formula One oil buy Colgate than they buy Crest. And you're actually able to make weird decisions like that based off of that. This is something that I look forward to seeing a lot of my vendors do, and I see that you guys are doing it already here at ThousandEyes and seeing the hot zones, carriers degrade, and all those better routes very quickly. I like to be able to test between my data centers. And I know that we're going to be looking at a mesh product over the next year that's going to allow me to be able to look at those, be able to look at how my VPN connections are doing and how my Kafka, my KV stores, my cross data center latency, because we use a product called React by Basho for a key value store in every single one of our data centers worldwide. When you shop and you're sitting in Amsterdam, what you shopped and what you did goes to our key value store in Amsterdam and then replicates out to all of the 12 data centers within 2 seconds. So anywhere in the world, you're able to browse and be able to see exactly what you want. We'll be able to see issues with session IDs and stuff like this as we start building into that data, and I think it becomes extremely powerful to us to be able to do a lot of that type of stuff. Anybody have any questions? What we do, how we do it, where we do it?